Business in the 217 on the WMAY morning news feed. I'm Greg Bishop, and we love telling you about businesses in the community that could actually help you find some savings and be better for the environment. And one of those businesses here is Skydrop Energy, and Rich and Stacy from Skydrop, a husband and wife team to bring you new ways to get energy. Rich, Stacy, thanks for taking time with us. How you guys doing today?
Fantastic. Thank you, Greg.
Doing well.
Good to hear. So this is, of course, an emerging industry. We're hearing more about solar energy. What is it that you guys do different in this space?
I believe, Greg, what really sets us apart is we work more for our customers. We started off in this industry working with specific companies, and you kind of need to get your training and understanding of how everything works. And once we understood that, we took more of the management role, and we can offer a lot of different solutions rather than just saying this company works best for you. We offer up to 6 different installers in the state of Illinois.
So that's one thing you mentioned before we started rolling here. You don't necessarily bring all the equipment. You work almost as a facilitator to find the best option for people.
Correct. We make the process simple. In Illinois, there are a lot of incentives, a lot of things that you have to adhere to, whether it be the utilities policies, whether it be your insurance, interconnection, the use of batteries. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And so for managing this, whether it be the installer or the incentives, interconnection, permitting, every city, every county, there are a lot of different things that you have to adhere to, and we just make sure that it runs smoothly.
So with this space of solar energy, there's so many different options out there. And I was joking before we started rolling about how before every YouTube video I watch, I see an ad for some company saying, hey, you know what? This thing will pay for itself. Give us a call. And then one guy has a hard hat on, and he looks like he just got done installing these things. Talk about the process that you guys handle, though, when it comes to somebody giving you a call and saying, hey, I'm looking to do something either on my business, on my residence, or on my farm. What are the first steps?
Good question. This is one of the things that can be frustrating to folks, because a lot of times when they answer one of these Facebook ads or YouTube ads, they're getting a very set script of do you qualify or do you not? And it's not necessarily black and white. A lot of installers don't deal with certain utilities, and that's where we've become very beneficial, especially in the rural communities, whether it be specifically here in CWLP or like Menard Electric that we're on. We deal with all utilities because we understand their policies and how it's going to benefit the homeowner, and more importantly, what to look out for. So we like to try to jump on a quick call, answer any questions that they have, because most people, they have the same questions. What's it cost me? What are your concerns? And so we can answer those really quickly. And then if they decide that it makes sense to move forward, usually it's the biggest concern of what's it cost me out of pocket, which is nothing. And in most cases, you can save right off the bat. And once people understand that, then they're more comfortable. Let's come out, let's measure your roof, take a look at all the necessary variables that are, to give you an actual price, and then explain your incentives from there.
There's a lot of different moving parts on this, right?
Correct.
I mean, not just the type of panels, but who's going to install those. And Stacy, I would imagine that Skydrop helps kind of take all of that worry, all the different parts out of the consumer's hand.
Absolutely. Yep. There's a lot of communication on the back end and communication with the customers that we just want to be that middleman to make sure that they're not left in the dark whenever they're purchasing a large system.
Not left in the dark, figuratively and literally, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess when you talk about all the incentives that there are, there's paperwork, right? There's deadlines, there's
Correct.
Forms. I mean, tell me the some of the, I guess, concerns that your customers have shared that you guys helped alleviate.
Well, there is a lot of paperwork. Yes. So
We take care of that. The biggest question is, does it really cost me nothing? Which nothing's for free. And that's what we want to make very clear, is that what you're actually already paying for is electricity from the power company through the utility. And so most of these utilities have a policy which allow you to use their grid as a battery. So if you're looking for the financial incentive, which realistically most of our customers are, the environmental is a benefit, but it's more the return on investment in their home, what they're adding to their home. But they already have a budget for their electricity. They can use that same exact budget, and actually usually a little bit less, to get the solar on their home, start benefiting, eliminate inflation, and which we've seen a lot of, which is a big concern, kind of future-proofing what you're going to pay for your electricity. And the nice thing with solar is using that same budget, eventually you just stop paying for your solar. And most of these systems have a 25-year warranty, whether it be labor, components, and not everybody's the same. So
I think people don't realize that they are going to spend X amount of dollars with inflation. So when we show them the price of, a solar system, it almost scares them off. But then, Rich usually sits with them and goes over the realization that they're paying for that anyway. Like, you are paying for electricity either
most
way.
of the times it's out of sight, out of mind. They have it on auto pay. They pay
Absolutely.
$200 a month, and they don't realize that's $2,400 a year, and $24,000 over the course of a decade plus your inflation. And then when you start extending out to long term, it really gets out of hand. And so whenever you explain to people, this is just taking the place of that budget, it becomes a lot more logical.
We're talking with Rich and Stacy from Skydrop Energy here on the WMAY Morning News Feed and Business in the 217. Another option out there for energy. And I know the state of Illinois just recently had a very wide-ranging electric policy, really focusing on getting more solar, getting more electric vehicles, and so on. And they'd also dealt with incentives because the window for certain incentives expired. They re-upped that.
Correct.
Right? So
yes.
Is that something you guys are able to help the farmers, help the small business out there, to help the residential out there to best navigate through those incentives and what it means for their bottom line?
Yes, sir. With the help of the incentives, so to break it down really simply, the federal government has been paying for a portion of this since 2016. And our president last year kind of re-upped and extended the incentive to where the federal government, as long as you're paying your taxes, are going to pay for over a quarter of the cost of your system. You're usually going to see that back within the first year or the first couple of years based on your liability. The other part of that is this new energy bill that Pritzker re-signed in the middle of September, bringing back these incentives, and that's actually a cash payment. And if your system is the right size, you're going to see that cash payment within the first usually 16 months of getting your system turned on. So you can actually get that payment. And what a lot of people don't realize is instead of using this payment specifically towards your solar system, you could do that. But a lot of times these payment plans are 2% interest or less. So if you have high, debt from credit cards or whatever you may need, you can get a $10, $15, sometimes a $20,000 check within your first year of going solar, and you don't even necessarily need to use that towards your solar system. It's more of a financial product, really.
Tell me about the difference, and maybe this is another conversation for another day, and I totally get it if it is, but I talked with a couple out in Colorado. They have solar panels, but they don't have the battery.
Correct. Yeah. And
is that a good way to go, or do you want to get the battery as like a backup?
Since we've gotten into this solar space years ago, it's funny, some of the preppers that we've talked to and a lot of people that think that these are these crazy extremists out there, and they're really not. A lot of these people are just more concerned of what happens when the power goes down.
Right.
And
which happens, tornadoes,
absolutely,
bad weather.
Absolutely.
We had an energy crunch with last winter, if you recall.
Well, in Texas and the ERCOT thing, and things happen, and Mother Nature, you're never going to win that battle. And so the batteries are a really nice option. If you're looking at a financial return, you're usually going to pick one or the other, which you can also have generators to overcome that obstacle as well. But as far as the batteries go, they're not as popular yet just because of the price tag versus the technology. But we're thinking in the next 5 years is what it looks like, that we could come back and everybody that we set up solar, we can actually just add a battery on. There'll still be incentives that go along with that. But the way we overcome that now is that the utilities have a policy called net metering. So when you produce more electricity than what you actually need, usually on a sunshiny day in the middle of the summer, that electricity goes back into the grid. They'll credit your account, and most of these utilities will give you a full retail credit. So at night or during this gray, somebody called it the big gray, from October through March, whenever you're not producing enough electricity, you can use those credits that you've built up over the course of the summer to actually pay for your electricity you pull from the grid.
We're talking with Rich and Stacy from Skydrop Energy. Guys, we're out of time, but how can people get more information about what Skydrop does?
You can check us out on skydropenergy.com. You can actually see exactly how much your cash incentive would be, or pretty close to where you would be, with a quick questionnaire, and sign up there or give us a call. 217-556-9269. See if it makes sense for you, and if it does, we set up an appointment.
And again, they are the facilitators. They're the ones that are going to go find the right contractor for your job and to help you with all of the incentives and the paperwork and the financing, so that you don't have to be reading through energy policy and all the legalese of all of these incentives. So, Rich, Stacy, thank you both for being here with Skydrop Energy for the WMAY Morning News Feed.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
Greg.
having us.